Hi, I'm Catherine, the creator of Shia and the Jetsons Community Preservation of the Promised Land. I am here to create the Promised Land so that we can cross over mentally, physically, each way you want to do it. Promised Land is a Promised Land. It's right where you're at, but in a real physical sense, I created that. Okay, now, well, you have to support me in order to see it and all that stuff. So go to my website and support it and read it. You can see it all yourself. Now, let's break down the movie Harder They Fall. Remember, I was telling you about how we were removed from our homes, how all the black people was removed from our homes. Well, we were removed from our homes from black people. Black people did it to us. Okay, so how did they do it? Well, they went in with the white people. It had a lot to do with the Moors bringing them over here. So basically, it was the Moors that procreated with the Italians or with the white race that brought over their worst here to America. When that happened, the white people basically ran America in the 1800s by having black people to remove us from our homes. So black people removed us from our homes with the white people that came over here. So there are black people here who are actual real reptilians that look just like you and me. Now, why do I say reptilians? Because only a reptilian race are the most aggressive because they hate humans, period, black or white. They hate white humans, they hate black humans because they're not human. They are like a subspecies human. They're not even a human. They're like another species other than a human. They are something else. They're not human. Okay? But they want to be human. They want to be like the Most High. And these reptilian people were born out of Eve because Eve procreated with the reptilian. Or better yet, Eve is the reptilian herself. Okay? Now, there are reptilian women that give birth to reptilian men who look just like me and you. Well, I'm a woman, but that looks like a man. And then there's women that give birth to other lizard women that look like the average woman that you see, the average black woman. You could never tell, only based by their actions. If you got a fucked up mother, she's most likely a Eve woman. If you have a fucked up father, he's most likely a Eve man. So Eve men and Eve women are the ones who hate their own kind because they're not black. They're not the Most High, meaning that they are not a true. Okay, like there were other women that was giving birth to little baby boys by themselves without a man at all. That's a God woman that gives birth to black men who are gods, who think consciously, who think with compassion. They could never kill their brother. They could never kill their family member. They could never do that. They would be the one who would save you. They would be the one to create the promised land. They're the ones who would see all this and say, well, this is just crazy. They would be like me. They would be like me. And there are 144,000 of us or something like that, right? So we're a little bit outnumbered because you got black people who are not black. They look like, and that was all by design now. Because remember now, before there was any other race, it was only black people and lizard people. The lizard people were real reptilians. They skin, tails, and wings and shit. They were real reptilians. They had the ability to disguise themselves as a black man because that's what they wanted to be, a black woman and a black man. So they procreated because they wanted to be like the Most High because they're not. So they're trying to be like it. It's in the Bible, something about I will exalt my man amongst men, and I would be like the Most High. Something like that to that effect. Because I'm not into the Bible or anything like that. I don't read that shit. But I'm just saying, it's in there. You know. So anyway, we have to know the difference between the two. When they talk about Eve, they're talking about a reptilian woman that gives birth to men who hate other black men. And they could be brothers. That could be your brother or your sister. So let's look at the movie The Harder They Fall on Netflix. When we talk about Brass, we're talking about a man named Brass. This is Brass. The real man. He's the one that removed us all from our homes. And he's been working. He's the one that created the police department. He's a black man, of course. He's indigenous. He looks just like me and you, but he is a reptilian black man who murdered us all. Okay, the legend. If you could see this, man, if you could see it, the legend, the lawman, legend Brass Reeves, the invincible manhunter. Who was he hunting? Let's find out who he was hunting. Now, who was his army? Here's Brass Reeves right here. Here's all he got 4 black men. That's in the movie Harder They Fall. That's Brass Reeves. Now, why is he sitting on the ground with no billy clubs or gun? Why does Brass Reeves only have handcuffs? He only have handcuffs. Why are they sitting on the ground? Because he brought these white people in and trained them to be the police officers. Now the police officers got the upper hand of Reeves. And Reeves go into all of our neighborhoods and remove us out of our homes so that they can live in our homes. These police officers removed us from our homes with Brass Reeves because Brass is indigenous. All these black men are indigenous, and they taught these white men how to remove black people from their homes. Now, why would he do that? Because he's a reptilian. Okay, now, they're all reptilians. Now let's read, here he is right here. Let's read what he did. Let's see this is what he do. Casualties. Can you read this? It says casualties, meaning genocide. Genocide rates amongst deputy sheriff marshals were extremely high in Indian and Oklahoma territories. Indian is black, so genocide amongst black people in the Oklahoma Indian territories. But Reeves completed his long reign there unscathed while making life miserable for outlaws. Outlaws are black, indigenous, conscious people who would kill Reeves because Reeves is a reptilian. But these are for outlaws, whites who don't want to be in it, they just want to live. These are like Billy the Kid, who would go in and help the black Indians. They're talking about they would kill these type of white people who would help you. The white people that would help you and they just want to live and they're like, this is fucked up. Well, they would kill white people who will go in with black people or Indians. Okay? So he was making life miserable for outlaws, whites, and black and Indian people that lived on their own land. He was a frontier lawman above reproach and probably made a greater impact on his assignment jurisdiction. Jurisdiction means county line areas. He was removing black people from then any other badge wearer. See, he wore the badge of west of the Mississippi. I told you we was removed east of the Mississippi. So he's a deputy. Marshal Brass Reeves was a part Superman, part Sherlock Holmes, investigator, and part Long Ranger. But he was was real. And he was black. But he was real and he was black, right? But what type of black man? He was the type of black man that was making life miserable for outlaws, for blacks and Indians. You're black. Why would you make it miserable for a black Indian, for an Indian and a black person? Why would you do that? Why would you make it miserable for them when they were indigenous? Because you were removing them. See? The larger than life African American. Really, where'd you get African from? He's not even from Africa. Or maybe he is. Maybe he's a Moor and he came across here and helped the white people. Maybe he's that because he's a lizard. He's definitely not from America, because if you're from America, why would you bring in white people to remove the black people from their homes? Because he's a lizard. He came out of Eve. A man like that can only bring destruction. Okay? He was born a slave in Arkansas in 1838. He was never a slave. That's a lie. He's indigenous. But they say he was born of a slave. No, he wasn't. No black person was a slave. Not one. And this is right here. The majority of the federal lawmen were killed in the Cherokee and Creek Nation Indian territories within a 50-mile radius of Mesquite, because this is where my great great grandparents was removed from Mesquite into Creek Nation. They were murdered. Like Brass Reeves would be, he was murdered. People like him was murdered because we would kill this man here. We would have to, because he was trying to remove us from our homes. So they said a lot of sheriff and lawmen were killed. Of course, you have to be killed because you're removing us from our homes. See? So a lot of lawmen, the majority of federal lawmen were killed in the Cherokee and Creek nations. My great great grandparents was all Cherokee black. So lawmen like uh because he would see Las Vegas territory, Arizona, Mexico, he was removing them all. He was removing all the black people from their homes. This is what he did because he made life miserable, and they vilified this man. They made him a hero. They called him a black superhero because he's work. This is Reeves, because he's working with all these white people that took us over. These people's job was to go from house to house and kill you and remove you from your homes. Okay, so let's look at the movie Harder They Fall now, and we'll show you who uh, who plays Reeves. Now, Reeves, um, I mean, Buck. Now, okay, okay, let's go. Might get a, so okay, hold on. Now I don't own this movie. I do not own no copyrights. I'm just trying to show this for educational purposes. So we're gonna look at Harder They Fall right quick. Okay, Harder They Fall. We're gonna see who.
Bless our hearts in all that we do, O Lord, so that we may walk in your name.
Who was that there this time?
I have no idea.
Okay, okay. Now the ones who are, if you already seen this movie, then you know what it is. Okay, now this is this is Brass's father. Now, hold on. I mean, this is Buck. This is Buck. Buck number two. So let's go to the let's go to the let's go to the trailer so you can see who we're talking about here. I'll just point out who the characters. Okay. Okay. Now, she would